athlete competing at the highest level. I'm a perfectionist and you want to be really good every single night. And, when you're not, that can frustrate you. But I think it's just reminding yourself of why you play this game. And
she was supposed to be the missing piece to complete the puzzle. A two-time WNBA champion with years of experience.
That DeWanna Bonner was not exactly thrilled with the situation, and it may have been more basketball related than anything else, which appears to be confirmed.
A veteran presence who had been through the wars, stood on championship podiums, and carried the weight of expectations before. DeWanna Bonner wasn't just another player. She was brought in to be the steadying force for the Indiana Fever.
It was reported last night that DeWanna Bonner had no intentions on returning to the Indiana Fever, and then the news broke today that the Indiana Fever had indeed waived DeWanna Bonner.
The experienced leader who could guide a young, talented roster through the highs and inevitable growing pains of a tough WNBA season. With rookie sensation Caitlin Clark capturing national attention and future franchise star Aliyah Boston anchoring the frontcourt, the ingredients for a promising future were all there. All that was missing, supposedly, was a respected veteran like Bonner to show them the way. But instead of building the culture and leadership Indiana hoped for, Bonner's short time with the team turned into one of the most dramatic, disruptive stories the WNBA has seen in years, and it all unraveled faster than anyone expected. The Indiana Fever made one of the most surprising, bold moves of the WNBA season when they announced they were waiving DeWanna Bonner after just 9 games. That's right. The same DeWanna Bonner, who was hailed as Indiana's marquee free agent signing just a few months earlier. The player many believed could help transform a struggling franchise into a legitimate playoff contender was suddenly released, barely 3 months into her time with the Fever. For casual fans, the news was shocking. Bonner is one of the most decorated players in league history, a multiple-time All-Star, a 2-time champion, and a respected figure known across the league. But for those following closely behind the scenes, the decision didn't come out of nowhere. The truth is, cracks were forming almost from day one, and despite the optimistic narrative the team tried to project publicly, the relationship between Bonner and the Fever was falling apart from the start. To understand how things spiraled so quickly, you have to go back to the beginning of the season. On paper, Indiana's decision to bring in DeWanna Bonner made sense. The Fever were coming off a rebuilding year, loaded with young, high-potential players, including Caitlin Clark, arguably the most hyped rookie in WNBA history. Clark's arrival instantly elevated the franchise's profile, but with that attention came pressure. The team needed experienced leadership to complement their young talent and help them navigate the expectations that come with being under the spotlight. Bonner was supposed to be that leader. With 2 championships under her belt, 6 All-Star selections, and a reputation as one of the league's most reliable scorers, Bonner had the resume and reputation to command respect. The vision was simple. Combine Bonner's experience with Clark's generational talent, and Indiana could fast-track their rise and become a playoff threat sooner than anyone expected. Unfortunately, reality didn't align with the vision. Instead of a smooth transition, the Fever found themselves navigating tension, mismatched expectations, and a locker room that never truly clicked. Bonner, who arrived expecting to be both a leader and a difference maker, struggled to adjust to the role the team needed her to play. Her production on the court was underwhelming from the start. Her scoring numbers dropped, her efficiency plummeted, and her overall impact didn't match the hype. Just 3 games into the season, it was clear that the coaching staff needed to make changes. That's when Lexi Hull, a young, hard-working sharpshooter known for her defense and hustle, stepped into the starting lineup. And with that decision, everything changed. Hull's emergence may have improved the team's on-court performance, but it also exposed the underlying tensions within the locker room. The change in the lineup didn't sit well with Bonner, and her frustration quickly became apparent to those around the team. Teammates could sense the discomfort. Fans watching from home could see the disappointment etched on Bonner's face. For a player of her stature, a future Hall of Famer, 3rd on the WNBA's all-time scoring list, losing her starting spot was about more than basketball. It was about pride, identity, and the harsh realization that time might be catching up with her. As one insider put it bluntly, the little blonde girl from next door took her spot. That comment reflected both the uncomfortable dynamic building inside the locker room and the reality of a younger player outshining a veteran. Instead of accepting her new role gracefully, Bonner's response only fueled the growing divide, setting the stage for one of the league's messiest player-team breakups in recent memory. Rather than staying to compete for her minutes or providing the leadership she was brought in to deliver, Bonner made a different choice. She stepped away from the team entirely. The official reason cited by the Fever? Personal reasons. But those familiar with the situation revealed there was much more happening behind the scenes. Sources confirmed that Bonner quietly requested a trade, hoping to find a new opportunity elsewhere. However, with her large contract, declining production, and the drama surrounding her, the market for her services was extremely limited. No deal materialized. So Bonner remained absent, not practicing, not playing, not communicating with the team in a meaningful way, while the organization tried to navigate the fallout of an increasingly complicated situation. Inside the Fever locker room, the mood shifted dramatically in Bonner's absence. What started as a hopeful, energized group focused on building chemistry quickly devolved into uncertainty and tension. Players found themselves walking on eggshells, unsure how to handle the situation. Coaches were forced to juggle competing personalities and rising frustrations, all while trying to keep the team focused on winning. Meanwhile, the speculation outside the locker room only intensified. Reporters and fans questioned Bonner's status, her commitment to the team, and whether she would ever return. The narrative of personal reasons quickly lost credibility as it became clear that this situation was about pride, ego, and the growing realization that Bonner's presence might be doing more harm than good. Ironically, Bonner's absence marked a turning point for the Fever, and in the most unexpected way, the team began to thrive without her. Their statement when over the Seattle Storm sent shockwaves through the league. Without Bonner on the floor, the Fever looked more connected, more confident, and more dangerous than they had all season. Caitlin Clark orchestrated the offense with precision, showing why she's considered one of the most promising players in the game. Aliyah Boston dominated inside, recording a season-high 31 points, while Lexi Hull continued to shine in her expanded role, hitting key shots and making hustle plays that ignited the team. The chemistry, the energy, the belief. All of it looked better without the lingering tension that Bonner's presence had brought. The message was unmistakable. The Fever didn't just survive without Bonner, they elevated their game. But the story wasn't finished yet. As the Fever's play improved, Bonner made her next move, reigniting the controversy that had been simmering for weeks. The news broke officially. DeWanna Bonner had been waived by the Indiana Fever, ending her brief and chaotic stint with the franchise. But the headlines didn't stop with the roster move. Bonner's carefully crafted public statement drew widespread attention. Despite our shared excitement heading into the season, I realized the fit wasn't right, she wrote. On the surface, it seemed professional, a mutual parting of ways. But those within the organization and league circles knew the deeper truth. Bonner hadn't walked away because of a poor fit. She left because she couldn't handle her diminished role and the rise of Indiana's young stars, particularly Caitlin Clark. Bonner's departure highlighted a stark contrast between two players, one embracing the moment, the other unable to adjust. While Bonner struggled with her changing role and declining production, Caitlin Clark was doing the opposite. The rookie phenom wasn't just living up to the hype, she was exceeding expectations, delivering nearly 20 points per game, dishing out close to 9 assists, and transforming the Fever from a struggling, rebuilding team into a legitimate playoff contender. Meanwhile, Bonner's final numbers with Indiana painted a disappointing picture. Just 7 points per game, career-low shooting percentages, and minimal impact when it mattered most. But beyond the stats, the real story was about attitude, leadership, and how two players responded to adversity in completely different ways. The aftermath of Bonner's exit extended beyond Indiana, with the rest of the league now watching her next move closely. Reports surfaced quickly, linking Bonner to two possible destinations, the Atlanta Dream and the Phoenix Mercury. But both options come with significant complications. In Atlanta, the team already has players with rocky histories, including individuals rumored to have past conflicts involving Caitlin Clark. Adding Bonner's volatile presence to that environment could ignite more locker room tension than success. In Phoenix, there's the added wrinkle of Bonner's relationship with fiancée Alyssa Thomas. While a reunion there might sound appealing on paper, Insiders suggest there are real concerns within the organization about how Bonner's current reputation for drama and distraction might affect their team's culture and chemistry. The broader conversation around Bonner now serves as a cautionary tale for the WNBA. Despite her impressive resume, including championships, all-star selections, and a place among the league's all-time scoring leaders, Bonner's declining production and the drama surrounding her departure have many front offices questioning whether she's worth the risk. Insiders warn teams to tread carefully. With her sizable contract demands and the reputation for disrupting team unity, many organizations appear hesitant to bring her into their locker room, particularly at a time when the league is experiencing unprecedented growth. Young stars like Caitlin Clark are elevating the game, and building strong, positive team cultures has never been more important. Ultimately, the Indiana Fever's decision to part ways with DeWanna Bonner was about more than one player. It was a statement about the team's priorities. Talent is everywhere in the WNBA, but chemistry, character, and commitment separate winning teams from cautionary tales. Bonner had the accolades and experience, but when it came time to lead, she couldn't adjust her changing role or accept the rise of Indiana's young core. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, still early in her career, embraced the moment, lifted her teammates, and helped transform the Fever into a unified, playoff-ready group. The decision to waive Bonner was bold, but judging by the team's performance since, it worked. The toxic atmosphere lifted, the locker room stabilized, and the young stars flourished. The question now extends beyond Indiana. What comes next for DeWanna Bonner, and how will the league respond to situations like this moving forward? Will organizations continue prioritizing team-first cultures and building for the future? Or will veteran egos and personal agendas continue to disrupt locker rooms? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear. The Fever didn't just dodge a bullet. They made a choice that could define their future for years to come. What's your take? Did Indiana make the right decision? Or is there more to this story beneath the surface? Share your thoughts. And stay tuned as this ongoing situation continues to unfold across the WNBA. From the moment DeWanna Bonner signed with the Indiana Fever, the expectations placed on her shoulders may have been unrealistic. Fans, media, and even the organization saw her as the answer to every challenge the team faced. But at 36 years old, with a long, grueling career behind her, Bonner wasn't the same player who once dominated WNBA finals. Her signing may have been more about symbolism than actual fit. The question no one asked at the time, was Bonner truly capable of meeting the physical and emotional demands of leading a young, ambitious roster already headlined by the league's most hyped rookie? Even before Bonner's official exit, insiders described a growing divide within the Fever locker room. Younger players gravitated toward Caitlin Clark's energy, work ethic, and natural leadership. Meanwhile, Bonner's frustration over her diminished role created subtle factions behind the scenes. Some veterans quietly sympathized with Bonner's position, while others believed her pride and negativity were holding the team back. This unspoken tension simmered beneath the surface, and when Bonner stepped away, it became impossible to ignore the contrasting cultures forming within the same locker room. While the public was caught off guard by Bonner's departure, sources say members of the Fever front office saw warning signs early. Reports suggest internal conversations began within the first few weeks of the season, with coaches and executives expressing concern about Bonner's fit, not just on the court, but as part of the team dynamic. By the time her trade request surfaced, Indiana had already been exploring options for how to proceed, knowing that keeping Bonner might jeopardize the chemistry they were trying to build around their young stars. DeWanna Bonner's veteran status came with a hefty price tag. Her sizable contract, negotiated with the expectation of a key role, became one of the biggest obstacles in finding a resolution. Other teams were reluctant to take on her salary, especially with her declining performance and off-court drama. That financial hurdle made it nearly impossible to facilitate a trade, leaving Indiana with no realistic option but to waive her. Bonner's departure wasn't just a basketball decision. It was also a tough financial reality for both sides. Whether she wanted it or not, Caitlin Clark's presence shifted the power dynamics inside the Fever organization. Her stardom brought attention, pressure, and expectations. Teammates rallied around her, media coverage centered on her, and inevitably, Comparisons were drawn between the rookie phenom and veteran leaders like Bonner. Though Clark never publicly fueled the controversy, her rise to prominence accelerated Bonner's frustration and ultimately forced the team to choose a direction. The Fever chose Clark, signaling a new era built around youth, energy, and unity. Ironically, Bonner's exit may have been the best thing for team morale. Players no longer had to navigate the tension, whispers, and awkwardness that dominated the locker room. Sources say practices became more focused, energy levels improved, and the team's cohesion visibly strengthened. For the first time all season, the Fever played with freedom and confidence, without the weight of veteran frustration disrupting their progress. It reinforced an old sports truth. Sometimes, addition by subtraction is very real. Across the WNBA, Bonner's situation became a hot topic among executives, coaches, and players. Some defended her, pointing to her long list of accomplishments and contributions to the game. Others saw her exit as a cautionary tale about what happens when aging stars struggle to adapt to evolving roles. Quiet conversations circulated among league insiders, warning teams to prioritize chemistry over reputation when building rosters, especially with so many young, high-profile players reshaping the league's future. Before this saga, DeWanna Bonner's legacy was largely untouchable. Two-time champion, six-time All-Star, one of the league's all-time leading scorers. But her messy exit from Indiana added an unexpected blemish to an otherwise illustrious career. Fair or not, her inability to accept a reduced role, combined with the locker room drama, has left many questioning how her final chapter will be written. Will fans and analysts remember Bonner for her greatness, or for the controversy that overshadowed her final season with the Fever? Bonner's departure sparked conversations about how the WNBA handles aging veterans. Teams are learning that managing experienced players takes more than relying on resumes. It requires honest conversations about roles, expectations, and contributions beyond the stat sheet. The Fever situation exposed the challenges of integrating veteran stars with young, high-profile rookies. Moving forward, other franchises will likely approach similar situations more cautiously, ensuring veteran leadership aligns with team culture rather than clashing with it. The drama with Bonner may have dominated headlines, but beneath it all, the Fever quietly found their identity. Without Bonner, the team leaned into their young core, embraced an up-tempo, team-first style of play, and solidified Caitlin Clark's role as the franchise cornerstone. Aliyah Boston blossomed as an interior force, Lexi Hull's confidence grew, and the Fever began to resemble the competitive, unified group they envisioned. What began as a turbulent season evolved into a defining moment, one where Indiana, by letting go of the past, embraced their promising future. For the Indiana Fever, this season wasn't just another year of development. It was a high-stakes test of the organization's long-term vision. After years of missing the playoffs and cycling through rosters, the franchise finally landed a generational player in Caitlin Clark, instantly putting a spotlight on every decision, every game, and every locker room dynamic. The signing of DeWanna Bonner was intended to fast-track the rebuild, signaling to fans and the league that Indiana wasn't content to wait 5 years for success. But that pressure created a volatile environment where even minor setbacks became magnified, and veteran players like Bonner, expected to lead, instead found themselves overwhelmed by unmet expectations and the weight of immediate results. The Fever's front office gambled on experience and urgency, but the collision of timelines between Bonner's final years and Clark's rise exposed just how difficult it is to balance growth with instant gratification in professional sports. What unfolded within the Indiana Fever this season wasn't just about player performance. It was a case study in generational clashes playing out behind closed doors. On one side, DeWanna Bonner represented the old guard of the WNBA. Gritty, accomplished veterans who built their reputations through years of sacrifice, hard work, and championship battles. On the other side, Caitlin Clark embodied the new era. Social media savvy, marketable young stars arriving with massive fan bases, unprecedented hype, and immediate influence. While neither publicly criticized the other, insiders report subtle friction building from the start. Differing approaches to leadership, varying expectations, and unspoken tension as roles shifted. It wasn't just about who was scoring points, It was about whose era the Fever were stepping into. And as the weeks passed, it became clear that Indiana was no longer Bonner's team. DeWanna Bonner's struggles in Indiana reflect a larger narrative taking shape across the WNBA. The league is undergoing a generational transition, and not all veteran stars are navigating it smoothly. As new faces like Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston, and others elevate the league's visibility and attract younger audiences, established veterans are being asked to adjust, not just in playing style, but in mindset, role, and status. Some, like Diana Taurasi or Alyssa Thomas, have managed to evolve while maintaining leadership. Others, like Bonner, face the harsh reality that legacies don't guarantee relevance. The rapid pace of the league's growth, combined with shifting media dynamics and younger stars dominating headlines, means that veterans must either adapt or risk becoming footnotes in the WNBA's future. Bonner's downfall in Indiana wasn't just personal. It symbolized the growing pains of an evolving league. The Indiana Fever's decision to waive a player as decorated as DeWanna Bonner sends a clear message to the rest of the league. No one is bigger than the culture being built. In years past, teams may have bent over backward to accommodate a veteran's ego or protect a star player's reputation. But the Fever made a different choice. By prioritizing chemistry, cohesion, and long-term growth over resume and history, Indiana has set a precedent that other franchises are watching closely. It's a reminder that championships aren't built on names alone. They're built on alignment, humility, and a shared vision. For young, ascending teams like Indiana, this approach could be the blueprint for sustainable success. And for other veterans across the league, Bonner's exit is a cautionary tale that legacy status alone won't guarantee loyalty in a league where culture is king. DeWanna Bonner's dramatic departure may have immediate consequences for her career, but the ripple effects could extend far beyond one player or one team. Her situation forces front offices, coaches, and players alike to rethink how future free agency decisions are made, particularly when signing veteran stars with big personalities, big contracts, and long-established reputations. Will teams become more cautious when adding aging all-stars to young, developing rosters? Will players like Bonner face more skepticism about their willingness to adapt? Even beyond Bonner, her exit fuels conversations about fit, role clarity, and team dynamics that will shape how free agents are evaluated moving forward. In many ways, the Fever didn't just cut a player. They sparked a league-wide conversation about the risks and realities of building around star power versus building around shared purpose.